Good morning, goeiemorgen in Sawubona. I'll continue in English vernacular, seeing that most people understand that better. So I'll do this video in English then. So any good video always starts with a piece of music, and to be original, I'm not going to display MP3, I'll rather display you a little song, my own little song. For the people that were not born in the 60s and 70s, the song is Seven Nation Army. So if you want to go Google it, you can go Google it. Alright guys, here we go. Firstly, let me just explain something quickly. My guitar is immensely expensive. It is really, really expensive. So the good thing about that is if I stuff it up, it's me, it's not the guitar. That's for sure. Alright guys, here we go. Okay, start again. Introductions are done. Let me show you this thing that I built that is just going to be amazing. It's going to blow you guys away. It's one of those things you always wanted in your house and you never had because it didn't exist. Alright guys, first thing. I think you all know what this is. You know, you get them like in all kinds of flavors and they're all over the show. And the problem is in my house, these things are always away. You never find it. It's just not available. So you sit with all these things here, you have to plug them in, you don't have space, you can't get them all into one plug. Your multi-plugs look like they want to explode because there's too many of those things on. So I decided, you know what, I have some time, it is COVID-19. So I decided, let me do something that's actually not costing a lot of money, that's cheap, and that anyone can do. So, introducing the GSX-R 1000 CBR RR V450 version 1. So if you look closely, this is a Cooler Master PC power supply. So this is out of an old PC that was in any way just standing around doing nothing. One of those old boxes that you keep in your garage and you think maybe you'll use it someday again, and it's just sitting there. So I basically just stripped the power supply out, and then to the front of the power supply I built this little box that's got a lot of inputs, and I'm going to show you how this works and why this is going to save so many other stupid little power supplies that you have to use you know, in your house. So first things first, it's plugged in already, so it's got power. I added one of these very nice, almost like a turbo car switch. So you can see it's on standby, and when I flip the switch, we got power. And at this stage we're sitting at 3.2 volts, and the reason for that is I've made this little modification here so that you've got 3.3 volts, you've got 5 volts, you've got 12 volts, and then you've got a variable voltage as well. So in the first place, you can take two lines from there. You can go 3 volt and ground, or you can go 5 volt and ground, or 12 volt and ground. But in this case here, what we're going to do is we're going to plug in a 3.3 volt. If I would go to the 5 volt one, then that will change to 5 volt because now I've got 5 volt on my output. If I want to go for 12 volt, then I'll plug that in. Then I've got 12 volt on my output. Okay, very nice, eh? So I've somehow included a USB here as well, and I know a lot of you are now going to say, what can I do with 4 little USBs? I mean, that's not going to help. Don't worry. What you can do is this. you can add another 10 USBs if you want. Just plug that in there, doof, and there you go. 10 extra USBs plugged in, running from this power supply. So it doesn't influence anything here. This runs at 5 volts. And the way that I'm going to show that to you is, I've got this USB here that's got a little voltmeter in the front. So if I plug this in anywhere on this USB port, if I plug it in there, 5 volts, 5 volt USB output. If I plug it into my extension here, a bit less, 4.9, but that's still 5 volts. So it will still work 100% if you want to charge anything. So there is our little USB plugged in. And I'm just gonna leave the little display there for interest sake so that you can see what happens. So now, if you have a little fan there in your office and it's hot, you don't have to worry, you can just plug it in. There you go, doof, plugged in. Lekker, huh? There's your fan going, you sort it. There's your whole power supply, and you haven't even started using your outputs. This is just running from all your USBs. And you don't need any of that stuff here. You've got one power supply that's working. Now, to show you the reason why I've actually built this whole thing here and why this is important, I'll show you the following demonstration just to show you how cool this is. So, like I said, the important thing here is that you would like to use the output voltages here. So for instance, there's my output. I'm going to put an output voltage there, and I'm going to put a negative there, because obviously you need a negative for a circuit. So there we go. We've got a circuit going. All right. And this circuit currently is running to this little board here. Just get that out the way there. So what this is a little microcontroller. So this is a microcontroller, and what you do with this is you basically can program anything on this. Currently what I did to this one here is I wrote a little program in C, so you basically can use C and C++ if you want to add some libraries, if you want to make it more object orientated. So what I did was I wrote a little C program on this, and I've then created this to be a web service. So this thing here now registers on the Wi-Fi, and it registers as a web server. All right, so it sits on our Wi-Fi as a web server, and you can see by the green light, there's two lights there, a green and a red LED. By the green LED, you can see that it's actually connected to the web server. All right, so I'll show you how that works and why that is so great. So now another big feature of this device that I built here is, see, this one here is running at 3.2 volts and using 22 amps. But now I've got a relay here that I would like to operate that needs 5 volts. So I just plug that into the 5 volt. It does not influence my little chip here, my little microcontroller here. It only gives the voltage through to the relay that's sitting there. How cool is that, guys? And you can do the same with your 12 volts. Unbelievable. Now, this is how things would work. So if you can use a PC, you can use your phone, you can use anything as long as you can get to a web browser. So if I just go to a web browser there and I put the IP address in 192.168.88.32 in this circumstance, and I press go. Poof. There's my little web page that I made. Okay, so this web page here, this IP address is talking to this web server that sits here. That's this little box here that sits here. And I've added two little buttons there. One button will turn on that LED there, or turn it off. And the other button will turn that on. Now what you also can do is, with the relay, 1 second guys, remember this is uncut version happening in real time, and I've got a little problem now. So let me just see why I don't get the response that I want here. 1 second, folks. Where did you go from? Oh, it's a plug. Where's the line from? Okay, cool. Back in business. So that just shows you that this is real life. This is not something that we just made and then copied and pasted and changed things. So there's a little web service website running off that little chip there. That chip is using the 3.2 volts currently with 2.4 amps that it uses. There's a 5 volt going out to a relay. And then I'm going to turn this way so that you can see this as I do it. As I push the on button, I can remotely now switch on lights from a web page. I can do that from my PC. I can actually wire this to my whole house. So why is this important? Why would you like to do this? There's definitely big advantages. By giving this IP address, for instance, to Opa Ernie can, sitting at his house, and he's got a sudden emergency, he can push this button here and throw a SOS in my house. See what the advantage is, guys? You can actually, with this IP address, you can provide this IP address to your friends, and then your friends can switch your house lights on and off without you knowing what's going on. You are just walking around and your house lights are going on and off, and your friends are laughing and they're having big fun. Or you can, while your wife, in my case Eliane, is in bed reading a book, you can actually, while she's reading a book, you can do this. Imagine how much she's going to enjoy that, guys. She's going to love it. And anyways, so that's the big thing that I wanted to show you guys. That's what I was talking about last night. So I think this is great. This is going to really help me. It's going to eliminate all those crazy wires you've got all over the show. And it's definitely going to help me with my development on my little microcontrollers. Thanks, guys. Cheers, cheers.